Shake up.
Good evening. Welcome to the July 8th meeting of the zoning board of appeals. First up, we have an adjournment, appeal number 2021-024. And they're asking for a off-the-calendar adjournment. We'll set a date with that once they have all their paperwork together. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, would you suggest 30 days?
I'll take that, 30 days. Let's hear from 30 days. Okay,
And I would second that with a 30-day extension.
okay. So with the 30-day extension, Mr. Barnes,
Aye.
Mr. Gazillo,
Aye.
Mr. Whitmire.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Next up, we have another adjournment, appeal number 2021-030, Wade Russell. They've asked for an adjournment to July 22nd. Do I hear a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Barnes.
Aye.
Mr. Gazillo.
Aye.
Mr. Whitmire.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Carissa?
Appeal 2021-029, Lenny Tuttle, 766 Sound Shore Road, Riverhead, tax map number 600-7335, RA40 zoning, for variances and a relief from Chapter 301, Section 8A, where proposed habitable space and kitchen on second floor of detached garage effectively creates a second dwelling on the parcel which is not permitted, and Section 9A1A, where proposed detached garage is located in front yard, which is not permitted.
And if you kindly raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Kindly state your name and your address.
Michael A. Kimack, P.O. Box 1047, South Hill, New York,
You have the floor.
on behalf of the applicant. This is an interesting proposal that we're putting before you. The existing frame house has been there for quite some time, and the Tuthills have, as I understand it, owned it for quite some time. As he explained to me, at one time, the top of the bluff was much further seaward than it is now. So it has basically eroded, and that's why if you looked at the survey, you'll see all of the different retaining walls there. And as a result of that, that puts it within the less than 50 feet of the top of the bluff. So it puts it under the Chapter 219 criteria. What Mr. Tuthill is asking the board primarily is to propose to put about 1,040 square foot, 3-car garage with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms above with a recreation room and a small kitchenette area. Rather than add an addition within that 50 feet or as close to the bluff as possible, putting additional pressure on it. In essence, if you look at the Chapter 219 and the criteria, the 50 foot is there. I'm surprised it's only 50 because most other towns have 100. And as things are going on, we don't know what the future may hold for those particular slopes. I do a lot of work on it. There's a lot of damage around. The tides are getting higher. The winds are getting stronger as much as the wave action. And Mr. Tuthill decided not to impose upon the bluff, and he wanted to expand to add additional bedrooms for his family, and he proposed to move it away from the bluff as far as possible and also do a garage. So in essence, basically, it's not to avoid Chapter 219, but to live within the spirit of it, because it's there primarily to prevent undue impact within 50 feet of the top of the bluff, which there would be with the addition. So yes, it is a detached garage in the front, which is the only place it can go, with space above to add that which he would normally have done going to Chapter 219 and going to the zoning board and the planning board and meeting all of their criteria in order to build within the 50-foot zone. There are some pictures in there. I'm not quite sure it's part of my application. I always do that. Some photos showing you pictures of the house, etc. like that. It's small. His intent is simply to keep it and maintain it. The family likes it down there. It also has access to the beach along the staircase. But he did need to expand to add more for his family, and we thought it made reasonable sense for him to do it in this manner. It's not something you see all the time, but he has the opportunity to do it and not necessarily impose upon 219 and and yourselves to look at all the criteria to build within that 50-foot zone, or to be even close to the top of the bluff with additional structure and additional weight factor.
So, why didn't he put an addition onto the house landward?
If you look at the property primarily, take a look at the pictures there, you wouldn't be able to meet on the backside. It goes downhill pretty much. The house on the backside, you'd have to dig out quite a bit. It would be below grade. It wouldn't match the first floor primarily that's there. I've got some photos in there. It doesn't necessarily show it off the survey or the site plan per se, but the house pretty much is even with the ground in the back, and the ground raises up behind it. So you'd have to dig out quite a bit, and it'd have to be below grade if you were going behind it.
But it's not impossible.
Nothing in life is impossible.
So,
Except,
essentially what we're doing is we're trying to look at why the building inspector denied you, and tried to tell you that this is essentially another residence on the property.
Mhm.
I know that you tried to call it a carriage house, or whatever you may want to try to call it, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be a two-family situation. I think if he was attaching it to the house, that would probably be different for me, at least.
the one thing that was in the drawings, which we left, we weren't quite sure, is certainly the two bedrooms and the two baths, basically, in and of themselves, don't represent an addition primarily. We can basically remove the kitchen. He has a kitchen down below in the main house, if that's one of the prevalent ideas.
It would be a problem for me. I think it would probably be added after we have a CO issued, and like what everybody else has been doing. And
I'm not going to respond.
I fully intend to tell the town board that at a certain date, I'm not going to vote for these anymore at all, because I think it's just a way to get around things. And the town has to legislate stronger code to deal with these kinds of issues. We can't have, it's nice that people want to have additional structure. They live on the beach, I get that. They want summer people to come out, they may even want to rent it out, I don't know. But it's becoming overburdening in our community. So,
There are a lot of accessory structures, and I agree with you, and towns
there's
deal
way
with
too
it.
many.
They
It's out of
deal with it in
control.
many different ways. I work with Southhold, I work with yourselves, I work with Southampton. Everybody has a different approach to accessory buildings.
Yes, they have a different approach and a different way of approaching the difficult way to navigate. And when I heard Southold's methodologies, I couldn't believe what you have to go through to really get a rental situation, an owner-occupied rental situation.
Well,
It's like-
it's funny as a comparison, since you wanted to bring it up. If this was Southold, and I was bringing it to Southold,
Mhm.
because it's on the water, the garage would be allowed in the front.
That's correct.
And secondly,
And you would have a finished living area.
the second could be an apartment under their code. And you don't have
3
to.
years.
And you don't have to rent it. It could be basically you do a one-year contract to a family member. It could be
Right.
simply an apartment for a family.
I know 1,000 ways to get around it,
Look,
I'm
it's
with you.
it's all over the place.
They just need to tighten it up. I'm just making a statement about that.
Our approach is
Unfortunately, Mike, is in your situation, this is in a zone where it actually talks about a two-family, and it talks about that you would need to go to and file a special permit with the town board to get the second family, and there are development rights involved, or transfer development rights involved.
Interesting.
So I could see how that could be sidestepped, I should say. But the building inspector should have talked to you, or I don't know if they did or didn't.
Not directly, no.
Okay, so you made it based on
Look, the
that.
last year and a half has been tough for everybody, so.
I don't disagree. But if you look at the section in the code under RA 40, I believe it is, there's a provision for that. So if I were the building inspector, I would see if that would fit into that, to meet that criteria, and then that would be a permitted use. That's what makes it a permitted use.
All right, so the RA 40 basically then, under that, we're talking about doing it as an apartment with deeded development
You can
rights?
call it a second family.
It's technically.
Second family under that?
It's called a two-family.
Okay.
They wouldn't have to wait
But
for
he
3
didn't deny it,
years.
he didn't deny it under that section.
I know that, and I'm trying to be polite.
Thank you
So
very
what I'm
much.
saying is take a look at it again and maybe have a discussion with them and maybe take a look at your strategy. And I think you might be able to get where you need to get. Because you have to keep in mind, you have to wait 3 years to get a rental permit to get a CO. Has to be in effect for 3 years on the structure. So if you were heading in that direction, that would be a 3-year wait. Here, you make the application. I don't know what the TDR would cost. I don't think it's that much. And it would be done.
Okay.
And you get your permit. That's just where I stand. So,
Well, you stand a lot stronger than I am right now, so, and I do take your advice tomorrow.
take a look at it. So,
All right, if, I understand basically what you're saying, that there may be another route to achieve what my client would like to do, but it isn't necessarily the one that I was sent to you, basically, to ask for.
I get it. Here's what I would recommend, that's to be fair to you and your client, that we would adjourn this for 2 weeks. Give you the time to research the law and see what the probability is,
Okay,
and what direction you may want to go in. Great.
okay, I'll take a look at that particular code section, and
Okay.
then.
Very
come-
good. Thank you.
Well, we'd have to come back, but I'd have to, if that was the way, I'd have to redo it. I'd have to really amend the original violation, or the original letter of denial with the
Yeah,
with the
well,
board.
essentially, if you know if you're going to go for the two-family, all you would need is a variance for is the structure in the front yard.
Okay. But could we amend it here at the board, or would I have to go back and get an amendment at the building department?
If you're going to apply for the two-family, you'd have to go to the town board. It's a special permit of the town board,
Okay. So it
town
isn't,
clerk's office.
so it wouldn't be the zoning board, it would be the town board?
No,
but-
but I would give you the time, or at least I would agree to give you the time. I don't know about the other board members.
Does it come back to the zoning board after it does the,
We
town
can
board?
adjourn it until you get through the process.
I
you know.
appreciate that.
But
Okay,
that would
guys.
have to be a while. But I wouldn't object to it. I
Okay.
hate to see your client spend that
Look, I
money and not have
appreciate,
any kind of...
that, really, it's interesting, it's refreshing to basically talk to people who are willing to, look at the code in different ways and say, look, it doesn't work here, but it may work there too,
Yeah,
to the
that's,
benefit of my client.
I've always been there
It's
to help
refreshing,
people.
guys, it really is.
I like helping people and get them to where they need to be.
Well, I have to tell
They
you,
don't have to look over their shoulder anymore.
I got out of Miami Monday night, and I just missed the storm, and now it's on my ass up here, so what can I tell you? All right, that would be fine, and I'll take a
Okay.
look at the code, and I'll get back to you and let you know.
All right.
I appreciate that.
All right, in the meantime, is there anyone else be heard on this matter? Nobody? Okay.
Mr.
What's
Chairman,
that?
I move that 2021-029 be adjourned to August or July? July 22nd.
Second.
Mr. Whitmire?
Aye.
Mr. Gazillo?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
Thank
Aye,
you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Michael.
Stay in
Have a good
touch.
night.
Good luck.
Appeal 2021-031, Kirk and Linda Lehman, 3 Breezy Point Road, Wading River, tax map number 600-33-634.1, RB80 zoning. For variances and or relief from Chapter 301, Section 29A1A, where 7x7 shed in front yard, which is not permitted, Section 29A1C, where 8x10 shed in rear yard is 3.6 feet and 16.7 feet from property lines, and minimum required is 20 feet. Section 31, where existing front yard setback is 33.5 feet and minimum required is 60 feet, and where existing rear yard setback is 33.9 feet and minimum required is 75 feet.
And if you kindly raise your right hand, you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Kindly state your name and your address.
Kirk Lehman, 3 Breezy Point Road, Wading River.
You have the floor.
Thank you. My wife and I purchased the property back in 1994. It was a small summer house at the time. We have spent the last 20 years renovating the house, and we received zoning board approval back in 1996. We built the house exactly per the plans. The original survey was very inaccurate. It was hand-drawn, and when we got our new computerized survey, it showed slight discrepancies on the house. As for the sheds, there was one shed on the property when we purchased it. It was the 8x10 shed, and it actually was half encroaching on what is an undeveloped paper road behind our property. And when we got our permits, back in '96, they said, you need to shift the shed onto the property, which we did do during the construction. And then about 8 or 10 years ago, I built a small 7x7, 49 square foot shed with my son, which is, I guess, by code in the front yard, but if you look at our lot, it's a H shape, and it's kind of, the only place it could be next to the driveway. So that's what we have.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions?
Anybody else?
Do any of your neighbors object?
No, we sent letters to all of them. We've been speaking to them, and we haven't heard anything ever. We're very friendly with all of them.
And we haven't heard anything tonight, so sounds good.
Great.
Who's got the reading?
I got, Mr. Chairman, I move the appeal of Kirk and Linda Lehman, 3 Greasy Point Road, Wading River, SCTM number 600-33-6-34.1, RB80 zoning, for variance and/or relief from Chapter 301, Section 29A, Subdivision 1, Subdivision A, where a 7x7 foot shed in front yard, which is not permitted, Section 29A1, Subdivision C, where 8x10 foot shed in rear yard is 3.6 feet and 16.7 feet from property lines, and minimum required is 20 feet. Section 31, where existing front yard setback is 33 feet and minimum required is 60 feet, and where existing rear yard setback is 33.9 feet and minimum required is 75 feet, be approved in accordance with the applications and sketches with amendments thereto, if any, as filed by the building inspector.
Second.
All right. Mr. Whitmire?
Aye.
Mr. Gazillo?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So your appeal has been granted.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Easy on
Have
those
a good
sheds
night.
and where you put them.
We appreciate your help. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Hey.
Good night.
Okay, do we hear a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we want to close the meeting tonight?
So
all in
moved, Mr.
favor?
Chairman. Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.